The Struggling Artist Record Club is a vinyl record subscription service where I hunt and curate the best punk and punk-adjacent music out there and mail their record to your door each and every month. Imagine finding your new favorite band from across the country without ever having to leave the house. It doesn't get much better than that. The excitement of discovering new music just got that much easier. As a member of the Struggling Artist Record Club, you are going to receive some of the best music you've ever heard from bands you may never even heard of. Whether you've been collecting records for years or just starting out, the Struggling Artist Record Club is designed specifically for you. And right now, all new members get a Struggling Artist Record Club exclusive along with the monthly selection. So head to StrugglingArtistRecordClub.com, pick a membership, and start building that collection today.
You're listening to the Struggling Artist Podcast.
People need to be entertained. They need the distraction.
With your host, Trev Allen.
I wish to God that somebody would do something to block out the voices in my head for 5 minutes.
All right, welcome back. On the show today, we have Eric Sauter from New Hampshire sludge band Magnatar. Eric's an amazing musician as well as an amazing recording engineer. He works out of Blackheart Sound in Manchester, New Hampshire. And we talk about the journey of this band and how they're getting ready to return to the stage in the first time in nearly 4 years. So it was a really exciting conversation. It was awesome talking with Eric. And without further ado, this is episode 446, Struggling with Magnatar. I record all like the intros and stuff.
Oh, dude!
So you'll have a nice formal explanation of the fine gentleman I'm talking to right now.
I ended up getting that pro or that not the pro reverb, that Vibrolux yesterday
for $50.
No, I showed up to the woman. I was on my way, and she's like, "Hey, like a bunch of people are hitting me up. Apparently, this is worth a little bit more." She's like, "I'll do 200." I'm like, I'm in."
You know what? That's how it always is. It's like you got to look for like guitar, missing string, needs new string replacement. Pick up today, $50.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you got to be ready to roll.
That's where,
dude.
Yeah,
like
that's the key. You got to be like, get in the car. Like, I'm coming right now. You can't think about the deal.
This is funny. You'll probably like this, but like a couple weeks ago, I dropped my car off to get serviced, and I like took an Uber into work, and I'm sitting like between a mix, just like looking on Marketplace, and like this $50 like old PV tube head comes up, and I'm just like, oh man! Like I text the guy, he's like on the way back to my house. I'm like, yo, I can pick this up tonight. He's like, dude, I'm not holding it. Like I got a bunch of people hitting me up. Sorry. So I was like, dude, what? So I thought to myself, I'm like, what if I Ubered over there? Because it's like 6 miles away. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna order an Uber. I'm coming over, and I did. And so
you got the score. I mean, we're here today in the ever relentless pursuit of the next piece of gear we'll buy.
I mean, this music equipment stuff's like so expensive. It's like you gotta hunt for deals.
Well,
like otherwise, it's just not gonna happen.
This is a good segue to sort of like something I was thinking about like in this conversation. So Magnatar starts in like 2017, right?
Yep.
And so I guess the first question I ask, having never been in a band of like that volume, like I've watched videos of you guys playing, and it's very much like literal wall of amps. Mm-hmm. And I guess my question is, how do you start a brand new band with such a focus on volume and roll into gigs with just like the most insane amount of shit? Be like, hey, we're here. This is our deal. Deal with it.
Anyone who knows me will tell you, like, really well, has known me for like over a decade, will tell you like, oh, that's like that's something that fucking Eric would do. Because like I'm kind of like I'm kind of like an extra person when it comes to that, and I was even more so when I was like in my mid-20s. Like I was just like whatever, I'm gonna do this sort of thing. It's kind of like a show, honestly.
Yeah.
You're putting something on, and bringing all that stuff out. It was just like I was working in a music store. I was really getting into like loud, heavy music, and I was like so obsessed with the idea of like having this literal wall of amps. And I'm just like, dude, you see these people with like crazy. I mean, everyone's been doing it since like the classic rock age, so like the stadium rock stuff. Like it was just like walls of amps. It's so rock and roll, and like anyone in the world can recognize that.
Yeah.
I remember we played a place in Nashua, and these two guys, like, it was a weird bill, but like these two guys who like, were wearing like Red Sox hats, were just like sitting there with their beers, like, dude, the fucking Stacks, bro. That's like, I saw Stacks like that when I saw Slash last week, man. And it's like anyone recognizes that. It's like, it's such a rock and roll thing.
Yeah, no, and like we played a house show together, and I think you had 2 full stacks. So, I mean, like, the maximalism kind of continues, but I'm so I guess, like, what's the band experience, the music experience for you leading, like, up to Magnatar? Like, was it an intentional, like, more seismic sounding band from the jump?
I started, like, how does that start? I mean, I was, like, acquiring, it was, like, kind of a runoff of my gear obsession, because I think I remember I started working at like the Manchester Music Mill, which I worked at for a very long time. I worked for them starting in like 2013, and I was just like surrounded by all this gear, and I knew not like before that I knew like literally nothing about like gear or anything. So I'm just like looking at the stuff. I'm like, this is crazy. Like I want to know everything. So I got like obsessed with like high wattage heads. I mean, I was listening to like a lot of very like drony, loud music. So like that interest kind of went hand in hand. You'd have like PV solid state heads come in for $50, and I just like grab them there. And like cabs, like if you look at some of the old, I could pull up pictures. Like some of the older iterations of this band was just like any cab I could get, any loud amp I could possibly get my hands on. So, it kind of was like, a runoff of that whole thing. I was my band experience. I mean, at the time, like I'd played like a little bit just after high school, like played some like metalcore stuff with people, and then I as I moved down here from Meredith to Manchester, I started playing with people who were doing more like heavier, like kind of like metal adjacent stuff, doom stuff. I actually played in like an Americana folk, or like an Americana like rock punk band for a little bit, and that was fun. I was also loud in there. I was always loud, and it kind of like
personality in the room.
Like I said, like you talk to anyone who knows me, and they'll be like, "Yep, that's him." Like I'm just like playing. I was playing bass loud in that band, like jumping around like I was in Cannibal Corpse, and people are like, "What the hell is all this dude's deal?" But that kind of, and then I became so obsessed with the volume aspect of it, and like the feeling of loud amps and sitting in front of loud amps.
Yeah. Well, what made me think about that is because I was like, I've been thinking about like the Sun discourse, that's always happening every time like they put out a record, and I'm like, how loud was that band when they started? Like, they're definitely must be louder now, but to have a band predicated on volume is such like a confrontational thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, was that a part of it? Like,
yeah, I mean, I was again the feeling of just like this loud amps and like all these cabinets. I would like experiment with these different setups. I was starting to experiment with like AB boxes, and running multiple cabs, and I'd just get more and more and more, and that kind of became the focus for a while. Is just being like this loud force. It was just me and a drummer. My drummer when we started, John Funk. Yeah, it was me and him, and he did a great job keeping up with that whole thing. He learned, he hit like super hard. It was
loud,
yeah, he hit loud. But what's funny is as it's gone on, I really wanted to do like the 2-piece thing, because I think at that point I was like, I don't really want to have like other members. I wanted to just like have it be a collaboration between me and one other person.
Right.
I was very one directional with it, and I wanted to do things like that. I wanted to make all the calls, and as things went on, and like I started, my songwriting skills started like progressing, and I wanted to do a little more with it. I was like, okay, I have to bring other people in. So like I can't do all of this stuff. I was like looping, and I don't think it was a fun live experience, but like when it comes to making records and making the records that I wanted to make, it made it a little bit difficult. Having more people to collaborate with, having another angle, like being able to write 2 guitar parts, or like bass parts underneath all this stuff was huge. So I brought in my buddy Colin around like 2018, and Andy to play bass. Andy's playing guitar now. But yeah, that was like a big shift from like that first like EP that we did, Vulgar, to the next record, Crushed, which allowed me to experiment a little bit more like the songwriting, and not just, it wasn't just a focus on like volume and just like that raw power aspect, which like that's cool, but it was so limiting.
Yeah. It's funny because there's like select videos of you guys like through years, and you can sort of see less gear, like when you get to like videos from like 2022 and stuff.
That one, yeah, I think I just used like a full stack, and that's kind of the way it's going because everything's like way more focused. It's kind of a great representation of like my journey through life, as well. Like I feel like each one of those is like a snapshot of like where I was in time, and it's really cool.
And it's like through like the first EP to the record, things like it gets a lot more open, and kind of like you start playing a lot more with like the ambient stuff. Like there's always been like an ambient element, I think, throughout, like when you're playing like loud, slow music like that. But sort of the cleaner atmospheric stuff really starts to come through on Crushed, and to even larger extent, sort of the stuff you're working on now. And so I guess like when did you really get into like the ambient zone?
I was like, I've always been into making like ambient stuff. I mean, I have like, if I had known a little bit more about recording when I was like 19, I probably would have put more stuff out. I used to play around with like, pedals were a huge thing for me when I started working at working in the music store, because there were so many of them, and I could just like try out all this different stuff. Ambience was very huge to me. I like experimenting with like delay, reverb, soundscapes, making things sound a little bit more like a soundtrack than just like straight up like heavy riffs all the time.
There's like an element of drama, I think, throughout the records.
Yeah, and I think that's like a very important part of the process of this band for like the past 4 to 6 years. So.
Well, and I think what's interesting, because you're talking about it being a snapshot, but what's really cool about Magnatar too is like it's also a journey of your engineering experience. And so it's like you can see a snapshot in time, not just of the band and the music, but sort of like the nuts and bolts creation aspect of that whole thing. Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that too, because all right, so since you mentioned it, like in this newest iteration, Colin and I were, because we're kind of like the main writers in this thing, we were thinking about completely ditching the name at first. We were like, we're gonna do a completely different band. And part of it was like, I just look back on these records and they're just like such a snapshot of my my engineering abilities. And I like that first one is like when I was starting, and it's very rough around the edges. And like even this one, even the last one is like, the production scales up, but like I feel like I didn't, at least myself, I feel like there was like, it was just out of reach from like what I wanted to do with it. Because I finished that record in 2019, so there was like even before, from the time it was like finished to the time it came out, I was even like, man, I hate listening to this. But I think at the end of the day that kind of was neither here nor there. It's just it is a snapshot, and that is what it is, and it's like you own that. Right. That it's going to be there. Yeah, and I think like the more time, sometimes like better distance gives you like better vision on like how things actually were.
I think I'm gonna
really old stuff, you'll be like, you know what? That was like good for that kid. Like hustling on something.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna really appreciate it later on, as I get older and seeing like the progression of that. It'll be a wonderful monument to that whole time frame and where all those landmarks of my skills as like an engineer, a songwriter. It's like everything's progressed.
Well, it's interesting because it's like you clearly have like a really strong grip on the band, the vision of the band. You know, it's like it's your vision primarily. I think that's fair to say. But
yeah, I come up with like a lot of the main songwriting in there.
I suppose doing that and your expertise as an engineer, which is a huge part of your life, obviously, does that drive you crazy working on stuff, or do you feel like, oh, I'm free to like work on this to whatever extent I want? Like you can like at what point does that like just drive you crazy, or do you just enjoy like chipping away?
Dude, it used to drive me nuts. Like I'd just be here at the studio, just like spending a lot of time just like doing that, and like I'd write by myself for like 4 or 5 hours, and I'd just be like, oh man, I'm not getting anywhere. I'd crash out about it. I don't have the time for that to do that these days. Like I had to really streamline my approach after becoming a dad, because I have a daughter now and have since December of 24, and that forces you to really streamline things, and like I'm not fucking around anymore. I can't like I don't have the bandwidth to crash out about that sort of stuff. Like I can't. Like I have to be way more intentional with what I'm doing versus just like throwing things at the wall, or like you can still throw things at the wall, but like I have to manage my emotions about it a lot better. I think that goes with everything in life. Once you have like the responsibility of a kid, I can't like, it's like I can't check out any like one day because oh, I'm not feeling it, and my wife's gonna be like, I don't care, we like the baby needs breakfast, or like you have to be emotionally available for them. I can't, like I have to be there, and I have to really like go at things in a much more calculated way. Like becoming a father really shook up my approach, because and it caused me to evolve and take a different stance on things. I mean, there's definitely things that are a little bit more difficult. Like, I mean, I think we've been able to have like 3 or 4 rehearsals in like a couple years, like not much, but like, cause I'm a dad, you know, the rest of the band members are they don't have kids of their own, you know, they have responsibilities, but like, you know, I can't do much past like 8 PM. You know, I'm up at like 5 in the morning, whether I like it or not. So like trying to figure out how do we make a record, how do we get everyone on the same page for live stuff? It has to be different now. It's got to be a little bit more calculated. You know, the writing process has been less like jamming, and more like, hey, you know, this is what we're gonna do. Getting together with members when we can, and letting that go where it needs to. Yeah, just do it.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, because there's like sort of this tortured artist mentality of like, oh, I'm just grinding, I'm working 12 hours every night on like my masterpiece, that doesn't always yield you like better results of just like executing. Sometimes it's a matter of just like I've definitely waded in too deep into murky waters for little to no result. And so to just be like, yeah, we're flicking the amps on and I'm recording them and then we're going. It's like much. Sometimes you just work, you know, it's not.
You're committing. You got to make decisions. You have to like, and having a clear idea of what the end goal is makes that a lot easier. When I know, like when I, at a certain point, you know, I think it was like, cause we had been writing this record for like, I want to say like about 3 years now. Okay. We wrote a whole EP. We had like 4 songs that were written, recorded, and, I'm going to go off a little bit on this, but it was recorded, and it was a little bit more like of a rocky sort of thing, like doom rockish sort of stuff. I was trying something different, you know, and trying to do a different process with like writing and everything. And at the end of it, I was just like, I was going to mix the stuff. I'm like, I hate this. So we scrapped it all. Like we went, I think we kept one song that's on the record, and I totally like refabricated one of them. But and
was this like the same time you were deciding like if it should be a different band?
Yeah. I mean, that kind of like, we went through seasons of that. It was like, all right, we should come up with a different name. And then like, I think it was around the time we were talking about like doing Summer Gloom. It's like, okay, like if we're going to do a different name, like we have to do it. So we kind of, me and Colin like went back and forth. And you probably know, finding band names that are not taken and work is very, very difficult. And we were trying out stuff, and we had a few, but at a certain point I was just like,
it's the name.
It's the name.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of band naming is really tricky. In most bands, it's really just what the band identity makes the name. It's rare, not never, but it's rare that a band has such an identity based just on like moniker alone. Like there's
exactly.
It's like rare, you know. And so that's actually interesting that you've been working on it for so long, because in my head I was like gonna ask like if you guys like took like an intentional break, if life just because
I mean I had to
22, if you're not like a band that COVID killed, or was that the case?
So I mean I had that band I was working with, like Crone Visions, for a while, and that kind of took like we had some like songwriting momentum going there, and when I stopped being in that band, I started writing music again for this project, and I had some songs, got that together, but like it was there was a lot going on in my life. You know, in 24 I was preparing to have my daughter. And then last year it was a lot of like, you know, the newborn phase. That took a lot of my attention, as it should. Yeah. So, you know, after at a certain point, childcare becomes a little bit easier, and you have a little bit more freedom to do things. And once I did have that available, I was like, okay, we got to get this stuff done. Like we have these songs that I hate that we recorded. We got to scrap those and keep like what we think is workable. And I had to be like, hey, you know, Colin and I are going to write this stuff. We're going to take the control of it. Like people can come in and make it. It's the scheduling thing was very difficult because, you know, we would always get together like once a week at like 9 p.m. and I can't do that anymore. Yeah. That's like totally out the window. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at a certain point though, what's nice is when you have like chemistry with people for so long, if you've grinded out enough hours, there's certain stuff that kind of like locks in, I think, where it's like you're not practicing every week, but you're not like falling apart when you practice.
And that's kind of like, that's what I'm gearing ourselves towards, because you have to stance a certain way to operate in a band like that. And, you know, I'm glad that like Matt and Jack and Andy like trust me, Colin and I to do stuff the right way, to get these songs written. But I have to stance things where it's like, okay, I can tune them in or give them the freedom to like write some parts to this without everything having to happen like in the room regarding writing, because I really wanted to do that. I felt for the first couple of years of writing this, I wanted to really make it be super collaborative, because the last couple records we did, it was all me just being like, this is how it's going to be, this is how we're doing it. And I wanted to experiment, but it didn't yield me the results, and I don't think that's any member's fault. It's just, you know, I'm a dad now, and like being able to write in that sort of way requires a time commitment. And
it's like it's hard to have multiple people steering. Not everyone is a musician who steers like a project in terms of like really inserting themselves with like parts and stuff. And that's fine. Like that's not. Like the musicians I play with are like way more skilled than me, but I have to like poke the bear a little bit to sort of like extract stuff. I have to like kind of draw a map of like places to land.
And people will do that if you give them the stuff to do it with. So right. that's I'm glad that I have people who around me who can do that. Yeah. And are willing to, because like some people really want to have a stake in things, and I'm happy that they realize it's part of the process instead of being like, well, why can't I do X, Y, or Z? You know, it's very relieving. Is there a point at like what point in your life did you like? I think it's
for people who like continue playing music past like 22, at some point you need to let go of your expectations of other people and what other people are like going to contribute or even able to contribute. And it seems like you've made like a good peace with that at this point. But like, was there like a painful letting go point of that for you? Being like, oh, these fucking jabronis like don't want to do anything.
you kind of just have to take that at like at face value and be like, you know, people can give what they can, and I'm like, I have tried to. It's like with anything, you know, like you, if people can't give something, and trying to get it out of that will only land you in disappointing territory.
Right.
It's so you're setting your like, you have to make your expectations of what people can provide realistic. Based upon your what they bring to the table, your relationship with them, and how you know them. So that's kind of it, you know. If don't set yourself up for disappointment, because it's very easy to do that.
It's like, yeah, I'd love to get everyone in a room 3 hours twice a week, but then no one's gonna want to play with me anymore.
You got to make peace with it. It's like if you're dating someone and like there's like this key core part of their personality that just irks you. You're like, oh, I really can't deal with this. Like, well, when you shouldn't be with this person, or like, or you need to make peace with that and not let it bother you and interfere with the quality of your relationship. It's like that with bandmates, with friends. You know, you have to have the ability to make peace with things, or like draw your non-negotiables in that sense.
So it's been like 4 years since you guys played a show. And like, what was the spark for doing it right now? And are you eager to get back on stage? Because I know you've been playing bass with Headcase, and that's bananas. What a beautiful thing.
I stopped playing with them, and for no reason really, besides the fact that like I don't have the time to be playing in a in a band that's like regularly playing shows. I mean, we're doing like 1 or 2 shows a month, and you know, my wife Autumn is like she understands my like what that I am a musician, I play. But like at a certain point, it's like, hey, I need a little more help around the house, and or I need a little bit more help with like childcare and whatnot. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, can I actually perform this duty of like playing in a band like that regularly and rehearsing, and then also doing my duties is like, you know, making sure people's records are getting done, making sure I'm a good father and a present husband. So it's
not the gig, it's the everything that goes leads up to the gig, you know.
And it's stressful like when you can't do, because like I would be like rehearsing like 2 days before the shows, all the parts, and it would just stress me out because I'm like, I don't want to perform bad, I don't want to mess up parts, but like I literally do not have the time to do this stuff in between my duties. So yeah, I mean,
but yeah, I guess, is it like to come back to like doing your band, right? Because like Headcase is a band you were in, or maybe you can tell me if I'm like reading this wrong, like if you had whatever your stake was, but like Headcase is like a band you were in, as opposed to like Magnatar is like your like life's creative work, sort of.
Yeah,
if we
exactly.
Were to be like dramatic about it. I guess after like not bringing it to a stage for so long, is it like, what's that feeling like?
It's cool. I'm like, I have like, I'm feeling so fresh and rejuvenated about the music. And, I have a much different feeling than I did last time bringing a stage to it, because the record that we put Crushed was like such a long process to get out. It was like that, first off, that record like sucked to write just because like what it was about, but like the release process was like so slow. And, you know, like I think I'd mentioned before, we finished it in 2019. We shopped it. 2020, we figure out like, okay, we're gonna press vinyl with Seeing Red. Seeing Red's like, okay, we'll have records at the end of the year. You know, we'll have them in November. And COVID happens, and everything's fucked. And suddenly it's like, oh man, maybe 21. And it's like, maybe end of 21. And then it finally was like, all right, June of 2022. So by the time, I'll be real, by the time the record came out, like, I didn't give a fuck. Like, I didn't
You were
care.
moved on.
I was so over it. it was just such a long process that like I was excited that we did that show and it felt really good to do it, but like it wasn't necessarily something I was like looking forward to.
So you're like, you have pretty much a whole new record you guys are working on now, and you're like bringing your new 3.0 version of the band to the stage.
I feel like I just got out of like the sauna. I'm like ready. I'm like let's go. It's 7:30 in the morning. Got out of the sauna. I'm about to like conquer this day. Like I feel so much more rejuvenated about it.
See, that's really exciting because I know a lot of people like, oh, if they haven't done that in so long, they're sort of like more nervous. I think sometimes that's like when people are more focused on like when bands have reunion shows, it's like, oh, I need to like relearn the catalog. Then I'm like, well, I don't like these songs anymore.
Yeah,
it seems like you feel like energized and ready to present.
We're not playing a single old song off of that material because we have like so much new stuff that like we might in the future, but like I there's so much to touch on, so much that's new, so much that's fresh that I want to go into, and yeah, it feels exciting. It feels like victorious, really.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Summer Gloom's like the perfect event for it to happen. Mm-hmm. I was so stoked when I saw that announced. Actually, the first time I ever saw you play was at Summer Gloom when Crone Visions played.
I remember that, yeah.
Version. And I was like, man, that dude's a rocker. And I mean, that definitely influenced my decision to like get to know you better and like work with you and stuff.
Glad it happened that way.
Yeah, and I guess like one more main question I had is like spending so much of your time as an engineer, which we could have like a whole separate podcast about, like working with other bands and like seeing how they work in the studio. Has that influenced positive or negatively your approach doing Magnatar stuff? Or have you been like, I know what I'm doing with this? But have there been moments where like you see stuff bands do, it's like, oh wow, I should like either these people are crazy, like don't do this, or like you're working with a band and they're working in a way you had never thought to work with your stuff?
Or when you like
so separate.
When you work with bands, you kind of like each person brings in like a piece of themselves to this and their process. So like being someone who produces and works with bands and engineer, you kind of develop your style off of like working with different types of people and with different approaches and what their comfort zone is. So I feel, I mean, in regards to like producing this stuff myself here, it's like, I feel more comfortable than ever. It's this past like almost 2 years now that I've been doing this full time. I feel like I've learned more in like a year and a half than I have in like 10 years. It's on how to like the process of making records. And the main thing is like for me is not like where to not get tripped up. Because you can get tripped up real easy in the process and like, overthink things. And just like things can send you like crashing out sometimes. And you can't do that. You got to find ways around it. And you got to find ways to like strategically combat that in ways that are good for you and good for the project.
That's beautifully said. And so I guess
we are our own worst enemies when it comes to sometimes our own brains are the people is the person who can like stop us from getting a vocal take right, because we're like, oh man, like everyone's here, like, or like you do like 2 takes of something and you're not hitting it, and then you get like, oh man, like am I ever gonna get this? And you can be the person who destroys yourself.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
so easily.
I've very often been that person throughout my life. And so I guess what is next on the horizon for Magnatar in conjunction with Summer Gloom and stuff you may have coming up after that?
So we are going to be putting out a single. I showed you that one, the one with that cover in it. I'm really excited for that one. That one I came up with. I was listening to, or I was watching Pocahontas with my daughter Indigo, and there's a song. I'm not going to name it because I would love for someone to hear this and like try and guess what it is. But there's a melody line in one of the songs, and I kind of like inverted the melody. and turned it into like this piano line, and I wrote the whole song off of that. So it's fun. So
that's incredible. That's amazing. Because like, so a lot of your writing is sort of like you collect little musical vignettes, then build like a larger composition.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's where you find like influence, and I have learned to go with the flow on something, like follow something right to the end. And I also need to make sure that I have like all the tools that I need. If I have a riff idea, or if I hear something, like I have to get that down, because that could be like the spark to really make something cool to go off of, versus me torturing myself to try and, you have to come up with a song, Eric, do it.
Sometimes like when you have too many designs on something, that's when you really get fucked. It's like you have a very grand self-image or something, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, and it's going to mean this, rather than working like organically.
It can be really, really simple, but you have to have like the ability to capture these sorts of ideas, even if it's just like a voice recording or like a video of like me hitting some notes on a piano, my daughter's toy piano or something like that. So I remember that. And then when I'm in here, I'm like, okay, that's part of the intentional aspect of this whole thing. Right. And how I've kind of contoured my approach to recently is just like, you have to, when I'm coming in here, like I mean business, like we're getting things done and we're expanding off of that. And, I have a decent setup to work on that at like my house. I can,
are you like humming them over in your head, like when you're walking around?
Oh yeah. Or like
having design, just like making little sketches in your brain.
Absolutely. I mean, I have so many of like like just me doing that sort of stuff, and having the creative tools available anytime. I can beam into the studio from my house, and I have the ability to do like basic recordings there as well. So I can access things. If I'm thinking like, of an idea, I can pop something in on the MIDI in here, and I can do whatever I need to do. Making the process just easy to follow any inspiration, because if it's easy to follow that inspiration, you will find yourself at the top of that mountain very easily.
Enjoying it.
Yep.
Like I feel like the big thing I've gotten is I'm like, oh, maybe I should just write songs that are fun to sing, and that'll make everything from there works so much easier.
What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
I was like, wow, I wish that was like the advice I got like
the last record I I'm not talking shit about Crush, but like I was very much trying to like make intentional like complex songs, like and just try and make it as like artistically like complex as I could, and I think that kind of limited what I was able to do. There was like a lack of like the organic process to that, whereas like I kind of follow I go with the flow a little bit more now, because it leads me where I want to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think based off what I've heard of the new stuff you're working on, that's definitely true. It sounds more decisive, confident, streamlined. I'm really excited for people to hear it. I know you mentioned that you were moving away from the doom rock thing. I still think there's some of that like rock and roll attitude in it, but everything is sort of leaner and meaner, like across the board, based on like everything you guys have been doing in the past. But yeah, I'm really excited to see you guys play for the first time this August. Summer Gloom version. Is this 5 years or 6 years? It's 5, I think.
Probably about that. I think we played the one that I played in Crone Visions. I think that was like the second or third.
Yeah.
So
out in the parking lot, and now they've had the decency to move inside.
That was a fun one. I'm glad we got the one parking lot iteration of that, because that was actually pretty cool.
But yeah, the parking lot was amazing. It was just a really long day, because I went 2 years in a row, and it's like 10 hours of music.
There wasn't a cloud in the sky either, and you're just like, and I didn't bring sunscreen.
No, yeah, the Pale People convention. A lot of people standing 50 feet away under the
everyone's tent. Wearing black, just roasting.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a really amazing festival, and I'm really stoked to see you guys on it. You guys are playing Thursday, right? It's Thursday, August 6th.
We're playing with I think like Swamphead, Outlords, and Through a Glass Darkly. Through a Glass Darkly is the ones that made us come out of retirement because Colin and I were content to just like we're gonna write this album. We don't care about playing shows, blah blah blah. I did their last record, and Jad from Through a Glass Darkly reached out to me, and they asked me about Summer Gloom, and I was like, no, I know the person who runs this, like I could get you on. And then I was thinking to myself, like, what if we did like a run of shows with them? And then it was like, okay, how about we do it too? Because I think I was talking to Steven who organizes it, and I was like, hey, can Through Glass Darkly play? And I was like, what about Magnatar too? And he's like, okay. And then suddenly we just found. I didn't even ask anyone else. I'm just like, I'll do like a 2-man drone set if that's what we do. Like I'm going to. We're going to make it like it puts fire under your ass to get it done. So
yeah, exactly. I think it's when you have the push, it all starts happening at once. Well, all right, Eric, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Absolutely, Arya.
Sorry for our technical hurdles, but I'm really excited to see you in August.
Absolutely, man. Likewise. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Later.
All right, and that's the show. I want to thank Eric so much for taking the time to speak with me. If you're in the New England area, be sure to check them out at Summer Gloom. They're playing Thursday, August 6th at Deep Cuts. I want to thank everyone on the Struggling Artist team that makes the whole ship run. You can find them on Instagram. Chris Chavez is at 716 The Sound, Jeff Bousquet at JRB Image, Ryan Cowell at 13th Floor _Ryan, and Dave Anderson at Pinball Punks. And if you want to find me, I'm on there at Coffin _Salesman. Our benevolent overlord Trev is still enjoying his nice summer vacation, but he'll be back with some episodes soon, so don't you worry. So we're going to leave you off with a song. This is Crown of Thorns from Magnatar's 2022 LP, Crushed. Have a good one.